In this video, we're going to be talking about your posture, both with the flute and without the flute. And we're also going to be talking about your hand position and your balance points. So I want you to start off by putting your feet flat on the floor. This is going to make it a lot easier for you to breathe, and you'll be really grounded. What happens if you don't? If you prop your legs up, you're not grounded. I already feel my feet sliding on what I'm propping them up against. And if you have longer legs, you might have to get a taller chair, because if you hold them out, then you're not really grounded anymore. Even if you put them in, tuck them in behind, it's a little bit better, but I don't feel as grounded as when my feet are at that good, they're on the ground and my legs form a 90-degree angle. Next, we're going to just move up the body and we're going to talk about your hips and your sit bones. And so what you want to do is to create, to continue that being grounded, you want to be balanced on both of your legs. So you don't want to be leaning to one side or the other. It's going to make it hard to breathe. Your lungs aren't going to be able to function properly. And so just go backwards, go forwards, rotate on the chair. Just continuing to find a very comfortable playing spot. And that's the thing. Always remember, playing flute, you should be comfortable playing flute. So we're going to move up, we're going to continue with our back, and when you're playing the flute, most people when they say sit up straight, they're going to just arch their back, make everything really kind of a tense feeling for me. You don't want to do that, but you also don't want to be so relaxed that you're just like, it's here. Or, even hunched over. You don't want that at all. One way to find the best relaxed playing position for your back specifically is to go up against the wall. Alright, so I have a wall here. You're going to go against the wall, and I want you to actually go into kind of a wall sit. You don't have to be there very long. Just long enough, and angles of your legs, it doesn't have to be an official wall sit. But you should be able to feel where all your back is touching the wall. You can feel, when you arch your back, that your back's not against the wall. So just kind of, relax your shoulders, relax everything. And then once you think that you've got a good back position, go ahead and sit back in the chair, trying to keep that back position good up until you get into the chair. So then, that's kind of a good relaxed playing field. If you breathe, you're able to breathe. You can feel the muscles both in your back, like your lower muscles in the back and your lower muscles in the front. You can feel all of those working together, and that'll get you the best breath for playing the flute. And so continuing on up, you want to really relax your shoulders. You don't want to be forcing them down or keeping them up, but just kind of go a little crazy. It's all right. Find that relaxed position that's not hunched over, because that doesn't even feel relaxed, So once you found that relaxed position, you are ready to go ahead and get the flute. So I will turn my chair to face you. And actually, while you're doing this, go ahead and turn your chair at a 45-degree angle. When you turn your chair at a 45-degree angle, what it's going to do is it's going to make it easier on your arms and easier to play the flute, and it'll actually almost look better. So let me just get my flute. Okay. So before we work really on anything hand position wise, like what fingers go on which keys. So you're facing towards the right at the 45-degree angle. What you're going to do is you're going to keep everything like below your shoulders. You're all going to face that, and you're just going to turn your head a little bit to the left. But what I want you to start off with, pretend this is a clarinet, and then I just want you to raise it, and then you're going to turn, like I said, turn your head a little bit to the right, or to the left, excuse me, and then you're going to bring the flute the rest of the way to you. You don't ever want to go to the flute. It creates a lot of tension in the neck and in the throat. So you always bring the flute to you. Make sure that you have a good space between your arm and your body. One one thing that I used to do was I played like this, and see, it doesn't have a good angle for the flute with my head. It's okay if you do need to tilt the flute a little bit, but just 10 to 30 degrees, not a whole lot of movement. And you have to keep your head moving with it. So your head, that doesn't work. So let's see, bring it up. Never do this. Never have your flute come up. You always want it to either be parallel with the floor or at a slight angle. So now we're going to actually talk about where to place your fingers, what keys you're going to hit. Because if you counted, there are more keys on the flute than you have fingers. So I'll bring it a little bit closer. One thing I want you to see, we're going to first look at the left hand. Okay. And so with the left hand, let me find a good way. I want you to see that here on the back, this key is the flat thumb key. It's the key that you're going to place your thumb on most of the time, the key that'll press down. Every once in a while you'll use this other key, the round key, but for the most part I want you to just keep your thumb either kind of hovering on it or pressing it down. And then you have this one key way out here. You're never going to press it because you have the second key that your index finger will play. It doesn't have a pad. If you look, you won't see a pad on it or a hole opening for any sound to come out. So you're going to place your index finger on that key. So you have your thumb on the flat key, index finger on the second space for a finger to go. Now this key right here, this key, you're going to skip. You don't put a finger on it. Your middle finger is going to go on the key following that. And then your ring finger will go on the very last key before you have this A flat key. I like to think of the A flat key kind of like as a hand divider, because the pinky will play it, but it rests clear over here, and it gives you a comfortable position. Your right hand now, we're going to shift the focus a little bit. Your right hand, I want you to put your ring finger, it's actually going to go on the last key that goes with the body joint. So your ring finger is going to go there. Your index finger, or your middle finger, is going to go on the one right next to it, and the index finger will go right next to that. And so that's just one quick, easy little way. Your ring finger, clear over here, it's going to play the E flat key, which we talked about. It's the first key, it's this one, the first key on the foot joint. So now you're like, well, this is all good, I know where my fingers are going to be, but I feel like there's no way to balance it, I feel like I gotta put my pinky clear down here, I can't even rest it on this key. So, one thing to be sure, your hands, always, 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 make sure that your hands are nice and relaxed. You don't want them flat, because that'll be harder to press the keys, and you don't want them to be stiff. So one thing to do is, shake it out, do some of that, whatever it is that keeps your hand relaxed. And you just bring it there, and you're going to create a point of balance with your right hand thumb. And so what I want you to do is you're going to place your thumb on the bottom side of the flute, but it's going to go under your index finger. The next thing that you're going to do, the second point that you're going to make, and try not to do any hitchhiker's thumbs. I have that, so that's more comfortable for me. So, it needs to be comfortable, but also functional. Don't forget about that first index finger. The first thumb under your index finger on your right hand. The next point of balance, when you're playing your left hand index finger, so the finger that's going to be closest to your face, I want you to go ahead and rest your joint, your knuckle joint, against the flute. That's going to create the second point of contact. It'll be a second point of balance with the flute. So you got your thumb under your right hand index finger and your left hand index finger is creating another point. The third point that you're going to create is actually going to be when you bring it up remember your clarinet, and you bring it up, turn your face a little bit to where you can see the embouchure hole, bring the flute the rest of the way to your face, and the chin is going to create another point of balance. So here I'm only holding it with my index finger and the thumb and my chin. Now, granted, I'm holding it in a couple different places so that way I don't accidentally drop it. But that's the idea that you should create, that you should be able to take everything else off besides those and still be able to hold the flute. There's another unofficial point of contact, and it's your right hand pinky. So the one that's on the E flat key, you're going to keep this key pressed down for most fingerings, not all, but it's going to create another point of balance for you. Alright, so we've learned how to sit, we've learned how to sit without the flute, and how to hold the flute, what you should look for in a good playing position. We've learned where to put our hands on the keys, and to make sure that we're hovering over. We learned about the balance points of how to hold it and to keep it steady.